everybody. Welcome to another week of Cover 3 on Yahoo Sports. I'm Michelle Gingras, joined in New York by Kimberley Martin, Liz Loza, joining us from the West Coast as always. And an entertaining Sunday capped off a week of controversial on and off the field news in the NFL. So naturally, we've got a lot to talk about. So we'll break down the fallout from Colin Kaepernick's workout that took place on Saturday. Kimberley, you sat down with Eagles safety Malcolm Jenkins. We'll also preview the Chargers-Chiefs in Mexico City tonight. But first, it's time to run the option. First up, two teams have officially pulled away from the pack in the AFC. The Patriots didn't have their best stuff Sunday, but got a win on the road in Philadelphia to advance to 9-1. And Lamar Jackson and the Ravens feasted on Deshaun Watson and the Texans, winning 41-7 and moving to 8-2. Now, the odds makers still favor the Patriots at the moment, but Liz, I think it's time we ask, which team is your favorite to come out of the AFC?
I'm going first. I'm going to go first with...
Snuck up on
Here
you
we
with
go.
that one.
I'm going first. No problem. I like the Ravens. I know that the Patriots always do a little late season surge, but what the Patriots are doing exceptionally well right now is playing on defense, right? They're first in the NFL in points per game and turnovers forced, but this Ravens defense has certainly come into form. Brandon Williams has shored up the run defense since week 5, and the secondary is looking awesome with Marlon Humphreys and Jimmy Smith and Marcus Peters after that trade. So what is the tiebreaker? It is the offense, and Lamar Jackson is, you were right last week, Kimberley, straight fire. The Baltimore Ravens offense is absolutely on a hot streak. They are first in the NFL in points per game, time of possession, name the stat, they're top 6 or 5 in it. My heart is with the city of Baltimore. They have charmed me.
So this is gonna sound weird. You guys know I love Lamar. I think the Ravens are a great team, but I've covered the Patriots enough to see that even when they struggle, for me, it always comes down to the Patriots until proven otherwise. Liz, all those stats are right. Every year I'm covering the Patriots in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl, it feels like. So until further notice, it's the Patriots.
Liz, I got to go with you on the Ravens. The Patriots are not trending upwards offensively right now, and their schedule doesn't get any easier, so it'll be a true test for them in the next couple of weeks. All right, moving on. Next up, late in the fourth quarter of the Bears-Rams games, with the Bears down 17-7, Matt Nagy decided to pull starter Mitch Trubisky in favor of Chase Daniel. It was reported that Trubisky suffered a hip injury in the first half that had gotten progressively worse as the game went on, but the timing, you got to admit, was a little curious given Trubisky's continued struggles throughout the game. So Kimberley, do you think Nagy benched Trubisky, or are you buying the injury excuse?
I'm not buying the injury excuse. I don't mean to call anybody a liar here, but it is very convenient. And I think that we've been coming to this point of a referendum on Mitch Trubisky. Can he be the guy in Chicago? And for me, the nail in the coffin was when he said to reporters, he's been thinking about how do we get the TVs turned off in Hallis Hall. That was pretty recently. Once you get to that point as a quarterback, we've lost you. I think that was the moment we lost Mitch, because he's all about confidence. It's all about what's in his head. And I just think at this point, I'm not sure if he's salvageable as their quarterback.
I was at the game last night. I mean, props to my makeup artist, because I look great considering the time I had last night. And let me tell you, Chicago fans, we travel exceptionally well. We were flocking the Coliseum, and people were cheering for Mitch Trubisky to be benched. They were cheering to see Chase Daniel. How about that? That is something. That is the world we are living in right now.
What it's been.
That Chase Daniel was being asked for while Blake Bortles was staring like at the opposing sideline at Mitch Trubisky, and they were like a Spider-Man meme wondering who was who. Regardless, I ain't buying it. Absolutely. I think, in fact, when Chase Daniel went under center, the entire section screamed, "He heard us! He heard us!" There's no hip injury. Mitch Trubisky just sucks. Ryan Pace, deal with it, own your mistakes. Next.
Okay, on that note, last but not least, the league announced Myles Garrett would be suspended indefinitely after striking Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph in the head with his helmet during Thursday night's Browns-Steelers game. It's the most severe punishment in NFL history for a single on-the-field act. Additionally, both teams were fined $250,000. Steelers center Marquise Pouncey received a 3-game suspension, and Browns defensive lineman Larry Ogunjobi was suspended 1 game as well. So there were a lot of punishments doled out. However, Liz, does the punishment fit the crime here all the way around?
Oh, well, you're saying there are a lot of punishments doled out, except I don't believe Mason Rudolph was suspended for this affair. which is interesting. And by the way, I think the league would do the Steelers a favor if they actually benched Rudolph, because he is #bad. I do think Rudolph deserves a suspension, not at all to the extent that Myles Garrett does, but I think especially when we're living in a time with so many questionable or controversial roughing the passer calls and this weird unspoken elevation of the quarterback, this not suspending him just kind of adds fuel to that fire. I don't like it one bit.
Yeah, you know, I'm on the same team as Liz as far as Mason Rudolph deserves some punishment, and it sounds like he's going to get fined. At the end of the day, I've sat down with Myles. I was shocked by the act, and once he takes that helmet off and swings at another player's head, it's a wrap. Like, there's no way you can justify it, or even if Mason did instigate it, which I believe, he's not innocent. But at the same time, that Myles Garrett thing was over the top, and I think the punishment fits the crime.
All right. Okay, so that's it for Run the Option, but we wanted to spend a little bit more time on one topic, as we always do here on Cover 3. And Kimberly, this was a perfect week for you to sit down with Eagles safety Malcolm Jenkins to discuss those players who have spoken out on social justice and their relationship with the NFL. Kimberly, what exactly did you get to talk to Malcolm about?
So this interview was set up before the Kaepernick tryout, so it was perfect timing. But I thought Malcolm, being co-founder of the Players Coalition, which stemmed from Cap's protesting and all that stuff, I thought this was a great time to talk about what he does on the field, off the field, and what he has to do going forward. So take a look. Malcolm, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you take pride in using your platform and making it known. You're more than an athlete. You champion social justice issues. You co-founded the Players Coalition with Anquan Bolden. For people that don't know, what have you been working on lately, either through your foundation or the Players Coalition?
Yeah, so I've really been focusing on Philly because there's a lot of things going on. Through my personal foundation, I've really been trying to dive into finding ways to fix poverty. We do things with our foundation in West Philly, dealing with youth. We have a STEM program and other things like that we're working on. And then with the coalition, it's just really about how to alleviate some of those issues in our criminal justice system that contribute to poverty, whether that's over-policing and police tactics, or it's parole and probation, and just keeping people, recidivism and keeping that recidivism rate high. Just continue to draw awareness, but also talking to those who have the power to make decisions, to put the pressure on them to make sure that they're representing people.
Have you seen those events have a positive impact in the community? Have you seen that around the country, or in Philly specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially in Philly, and with all of the things that have, all of the craziness that's happening with the Philly PD, and the scandals that they're having from high up officials, that is something that we need to address. And so it's just, and then you had Meek Mill right at the time where we were winning the Super Bowl. So it's just been a lot of attention here. We elected Larry Krasner, a progressive DA, who's really been changing the idea of like this tough on crime stuff. It's more about restoration and restorative justice. And so we're trying to set an example for the country of how to do this differently.
The Players Coalition helped restore voting rights for convicted felons in Florida.
Yep.
So with 2020 being an election year, what's next on that horizon, if anything?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is getting everybody obviously to participate in a real way, knowing that, everybody wants to know, like, what can I do? Mm-hmm. And it's bigger than just the charity work, because most of the charity work just alleviates, or is a Band-Aid to some of the symptoms, but it doesn't cure the actual problem. And those problems, the way we attack those systems is through our vote and through, being heard. So really just encouraging people to get educated on what's happening around them, educating people on who the major influencers are and players are that make decisions and who needs to, get pressure on them. Because if people want to get your vote, then they need to address the issues that you care about.
Now, I recently saw a PSA that the Players Coalition put out and you put out with the hashtag Everyone's Child. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? One
of the big things that we're trying to tackle is police brutality and police accountability. And so it's just highlighting stories that, a lot of times when you start talking about police, it creates a divide and people get really defensive. But we're trying to do some storytelling about real people whose lives have been changed at the hands of police. And so I thought the PSA we did really highlighted a kid who wanted to play ball, had aspirations, was killed by the police, and then the police lied about, what actually happened. And his parents, they're not bitter. They didn't blame all police. They just said, but we need justice. There are things that we need to change and hold people accountable. So it's just about trying to do that storytelling in a way that people can digest what's going on, empathize it, but then also call people to action.
So when the Jay-Z NFL partnership was announced, it was met with a lot of skepticism. And you even said at the time, you understand why there's skepticism. Yeah. Is it still a wait and see? You're not sure how this whole relationship works?
Well, when it comes to the business side of what they're doing, I don't pay attention to that. That's not what I'm privy to. But the conversations that I've had with Roc Nation, they seem to be, in a position where they just want to help. They know how to put on campaigns. They know how to drive a lot of attention to issues. And they're here as a resource. So, when we're putting on community events, they're helping with the production. They're putting resources behind spreading the word on some of these things. And we've seen that help. A lot of things that we've done recently, they're not coming in trying to take over the message, not coming in trying to do too much, but really just be a resource and an assistant to what we're doing.
I appreciate it, Malcolm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, great interview. That was awesome to learn a little bit more about the Players Coalition and just to see the impact that they're striving to make, not just Malcolm and his own community, but, the country as a whole. That's awesome. But so in an environment where stick to sports is a phrase that we hear a lot, I'm curious, did you get to talk to Malcolm about how he strikes the balance between being an athlete, but also wanting to use that platform for causes that they're passionate about?
I think guys like Malcolm who are part of the Players Coalition, I love that guys like Demario Davis and Josh Norman and Josh McCown, these guys really look at themselves as, it sounds silly, but as members of society. They are not just football players, but they recognize that they have the platform and their voices reach a lot farther than quote unquote regular people, right? They understand the power that their voices have, and they don't take that for granted. So I in some ways I'm inspired by that, especially because for these guys, a lot of fans criticize them based on the charitable efforts that they deem are important. When J.J. Watt is raising money for the hurricane relief, it's fine. When Demario Davis and Josh Norman are down in San Antonio giving out book bags and supplies to kids who've been separated from their families near the border, I talk to all those guys about the criticisms that they get, and their response is always, I pay my taxes too. I'm just like you. These are causes that I'm passionate about, and I should be allowed to use my platform to better life for all people, not just athletes, not just whites, blacks, whatever. And I love that they are committed to that cause.
I think it's interesting, Kimberly. I think you bring up a really excellent point, because J.J. Watt didn't just receive public acclaim for raising money for hurricane relief, but the NFL awarded him the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award in 2017 for doing an excellent thing. But there seems to be, if we're towing this line between stick to sports and the NFL saying, oh no, you don't have to stick to sports. In fact, we are going to award you. We're going to have a ceremony around you, in fact, not sticking to sports, for you going off the field and going into your community and doing things that we think are beneficial. But it's that last part that we think are beneficial that's troublesome. And I don't know how the league continues to negotiate this, and obviously the Kaepernick situation and his peaceful protests have certainly lit a fire under this issue, and his workouts over the weekend have reignited the debate.
I mean, Liz, you just hit the nail on the head. You kind of led me to it. The man who brought some of these issues to light in the first place was, of course, Colin Kaepernick. He was back in the news this weekend after the NFL scheduled a workout for him that he seemingly was not aware of. It ended up happening, but after Kaepernick and his team changed the location less than an hour before its scheduled time. So, Kimberly, just to kick it back to you real quick, who came out of Saturday looking worse, in your opinion, the league or Colin Kaepernick here?
I think the league did, because I think the issue for Kaepernick was, yes, I want to show up. I want to show the people, whether it's the media. I want media to be there. I want cameras there, have a live stream, whatever. I want people to see. That way there are no anonymous sources that, giving the public feedback from a private workout that nobody has access to. And this is no different than we go to the Combine. I cover the Combine every year. We see these players. All of this stuff is on TV. The NFL loves that, ratings, all that stuff. But now this is a QB workout. People that saw this, and said, well, he's just throwing against air. Well, QB, this is what the tryouts are. They're throwing against air. They're throwing against receivers that they may have just met. So the unfortunate thing is I don't think Saturday's workout changes the discussion or changes people's point of view. If you thought Kaepernick didn't belong in the league, well, Saturday wasn't going to make you suddenly change your mind. If you feel like this guy should have a shot at a legitimate job, I'm not saying he should be a starter, but even if you think he should be a backup, then you still felt that. You still felt he showed he had arm strength. So where we are at this point, I'm not sure what we gleaned further.
I think the fact, of course, that the workout was on a Saturday is already fishy. Why isn't it on a Tuesday, right? We could poke holes, you're absolutely right, Kimberly, on either side of this. Whether it's transparency or more PR that Kaepernick is looking for by changing the location. I think it is interesting, though, that we are in a time right now. We talked about Mitch Trubisky maybe having this phantom injury on Sunday Night Football and a backup coming in. We are living in a time where there are plenty of backups. Gardner Minshew was a thing, right? And yet Kaepernick's not in the league. And we also can't deny that Jay-Z and Rock Nation, as Malcolm noted, have a relationship with the NFL now. And there's obviously a lot of rumors swirling around this. And I just don't know how, frankly, because you're right, the people who thought Kaepernick was out of line are going to continue to think he's out of line, and the people who are fighting for the cause with which he claims to be the foreperson for are also in favor of it. So I don't know how we get it right. I don't know if the NFL wants to make it right, and I don't know, frankly, if Kaepernick wants what right means anymore. I don't know if he wants to be in the NFL or if he's trying to stay in the spotlight in order to advance his cause and keep awareness up around it. And I don't know if the NFL wants to deal with the circus.
I mean, I was going to ask
Michelle,
was going to ask just quickly, Kimberly and Liz, both, like, what do you think his motivation is here at this point? Now, obviously, I would think he wants to just play football. That's my perspective of it. But there's a lot of things in the media lately about, oh no, his motivation is, it looks better if he stays out of the league and continues down this path of of being this martyr who was, left out of the league. What do you guys think?
I'm not interested. I'm not interested in judging his motivation, to be completely honest. Like, I don't know him. I've never met him. I don't know what he is motivated to or to not do. I'm more interested in the NFL's motivation. I think that's a little bit head-scratching. I'm also, as a fan of a team with a horrible quarterback, would love to see Kaepernick under center. I think as fans, we are being robbed of someone who could potentially elevate a team to another level, and that's disappointing from a fan's perspective.
Yeah, I think he wants to play, but I don't think Saturday's tryout will change anything. I don't think we're going to see Kaepernick on a field. If you thought he was good 3 years ago, you would have signed him by now, so.
All right, good stuff, guys, as always. Coming up, we'll preview Chiefs-Chargers in Mexico City on Monday Night Football. But first, we asked Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce to cover 3 for us. Take a look.
All-time tight ends. Number 1, I would have to say Tony Gonzalez. Number 2, Shannon Sharp. And number 3, it's a tough one, man, but Rob Gronkowski has been doing it and kind of paved the way for the more modern tight ends like myself and a few others in the league. And a lot of respect goes to that, man. Top 3 end zone celebrations. Man. Number 1, Deion Sanders, his 2-step that he used to do after every pick to the house or punt return to the house. That one is something that I'll remember for forever. Then you got T.O. when he played the Cowboys and stood on the star. That was mind-blowing to me. And then, man, the last one, man, you're putting me on the spot. I would say Chad Johnson going over to the cheerleaders and dancing with the cheerleaders. And literally asking one of them to marry him.
Your favorite brothers who are athletes?
it has to be the Manning brothers, man. Their personalities, the stuff we've seen them do off the field throughout the years, I think is unbelievable. I mean, it's unmatched. At number 2 would be the Long brothers, Chris and Kyle Long. Those guys, they're up there in terms of characters and being absolutely hilarious. Who are the last ones? I would say the Pouncey brothers. I've trained quite a bit with them down in South Florida. Every time that I get to see them, man, it's always a good time.
Maybe I'm just behind, but did he know that cheerleader before he asked her to marry him? If not, bold move. Very bold move. All right, Chiefs taking on the Chargers in Mexico City tonight on Monday Night Football. Kickoff slated for 8:20 Eastern Time. You can catch that game right here on the Yahoo Sports app following our show. It's a big divisional matchup in a wide-open AFC West. So, Kimberly, we talked about the Patriots and the Ravens before. Has the Super Bowl shine wore off the 6-4 Chiefs now?
Has it worn off? Just a little bit, but I think the Chiefs are still a Super Bowl contender because look at that division and look at the quarterbacks. I don't need a lot of stats, just look at the quarterbacks. You've got the Raiders with Carr, you've got Mahomes on the Chiefs, and you got Chargers, Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
Been there for a little while.
Pick one. That's all. Like, pick one. Which one do you feel most comfortable with? And I'm riding with Mahomes, so I think they're the Super Bowl favorite in that division.
I 100% agree. I think Patrick Mahomes is incredible, and the Chiefs defense. I mean, we're coming off of Derrick Henry running through this run defense of the Chiefs, right? And that's an obvious vulnerability. And we also know when we look at the Chargers skill set that they want to establish the run with Melvin Gordon, maybe use Austin Eckler also on passing downs. You're seeing Keenan Allen do a lot of underneath stuff because their O-line is so banged up. By the way, both tackles likely to be out Monday night. That means Phillip Rivers has no time to plant his feet and find a downfield threat like Mike Williams. So they're going to try to run the ball, and the Chiefs know that defensively, now that they've got Chris Jones and Frank Clark back to health, they're going to have to stop the run on opposing teams and stop trying, because opposing teams are obviously also going to want to play keep away from Mahomes, because as Kimberly pointed out, he's the best damn quarterback in the division, maybe the NFL.
Okay, time for some fun. Keys to winning this showdown tonight. Kimberly, let's play a game. If the Chiefs do blank, they win.
If Travis Kelce scores a touchdown, they win because he hasn't scored against the Chargers yet.
Liz, on the other side, if the Chargers do blank, they win.
They run the ball.
All right, easy as that. It's just that simple. Okay, stick around after Cover 3 to watch that game. Coming up, we're picking teams. But first, Liz hung out with Rashad Jennings for our latest edition of Let's Play.
Hey, Liz Loza here with former NFL running back and Dancing with the Stars champion, Rashad Jennings. Running backs need fancy footwork, dancers need fancy footwork, but they also need to know how to use their hands. So can you demonstrate a screen pass play using these tiny mirror balls and footballs for us?
Absolutely.
Let's play.
Center's gonna hike, boom. He's gonna run off.
This is your wide receiver.
Your wide receiver is gonna take off and carry that corner with him and then try to occupy that safety's mind a little bit. And this tight end, he's gonna run and try to hold this guy off, occupy him. Your tackle is gonna hinge and try to allow this defender to come outside. He is gonna pass, protect, and hinge and try to have him forced to come outside too. These are your three guys that are really gonna make up this play. They're gonna invite these guys. Now they're gonna do a very poor job in how they block them. They're gonna allow them to think they got a free shot on your quarterback backing up. And once they do, they're gonna roll out. The running back's gonna miss the block. And as they're chasing the quarterback, he's gonna dump it to your running back. Now, you see all this space? You got these big horses out in front of you. Yes, that has all this freedom to now go block these little guys. Boom, all this space. Now you got all this room to take off, slip through, boom, 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 all the way to the end zone.
Well, thank you so much for demonstrating the screen pass. Can't wait for my next play day.
Alrighty, every weekend the internet gives us some great content to debate. This weekend was no different, so it's time for us to pick teams. First up, despite the loss to the Ravens Sunday, DeAndre Hopkins had a solid 7 catches for 80 yards, but it's not his on-field game that was concerning, more his off-the-field fashion.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Rolling into the locker room with what I will only describe as a maybe flowery trench coat. I'm not sure there. So Liz, are you team fashion or team grandma?
Oh, he looks like he's going on tour with Gwen Stefani. I am on team fashion. I love it.
I'm team fashion because you know what? DeAndre Hopkins can do whatever he wants on the football field. He does not drop passes, so wear whatever you want, honey.
Yeah, I agree. Team fashion. This is bold. This is like next level. In a couple of months, everyone's going to be wearing it on the street, so just get ready for that. Okay, moving on. Next up, we keep it in the football family, but head north of the border for the Canadian Football League playoffs. This is a good one. One Winnipeg fan swore off wearing pants until his beloved Blue Bombers won the Grey Cup 18 years ago.
No.
We have been walking down the street when it's been very cold, and I have a fur coat, and he's in shorts, and people stare, and I just assure them, yes, he's an idiot.
Okay.
I love that they did a news story on this. Clearly his wife not too happy with his attire decisions. The Blue Bombers have their shot in the Grey Cup final next Sunday. So Kimberley, are you team committed or team idiot?
He's not my husband, so I will say team committed. I applaud him for doing that. I thought he wasn't wearing pants, period.
Yeah.
I'd be against that. But if he wants to be out in shorts, more power to you.
I mean, how much of this is this family spending on Lubriderm to keep all that? It's cold in Canada. He's gotta have some dry, ashy legs. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess team committed. Also, maybe Scott Pioli should see this so he can see, we can maybe get a team to Canada before we get one to London.
True, right? Yeah, dedicated fans. I'm team committed as well here. I think everyone has that person in their family. I know my grandfather literally wears shorts year round and will like tuck a polo into his shorts, and that's like dressy attire. He's super cute, so that's fine. But yeah, so I'm team committed as well. So let's round it out. We leave the football field, but stay in Canada. Why not? Head to the ice where two Toronto Maple Leafs fans appear to be enjoying a selfie during the game. But check out the expression change immediately following the picture there. So Liz, are you team for the gram or team don't be fake?
Oh my God, I'm team poor Instagram husband. I love it. For the gram, whatever, for the gram. To make your, also, happy girlfriend, happy wife, happy life.
You know what? I'm team don't be fake, because he looks just like my husband when I try to take selfies. And
you take a lot of pictures. In your husband's defense, in Jeff's defense.
All right. Okay, yeah, sure. But still, at least, hello, how are you gonna remember the memories? Selfies.
Okay, yeah, I'm team, I think it was team committed. Do it for the gram. Yep. Okay, that's a wrap for Cover 3. For Kimberley and Liz, thanks for watching. Be sure to keep it locked on the Yahoo app for Chiefs and Chargers coming up next, and we'll see you right here next week.
Keeps his quarterback rating up there pretty high. So I'm sure we'll have to ice his shoulder down this week and massage it and everything else, but.
More cowbell. Like more.
Now I would just like to introduce y'all to the man, the myth, the legend, the MVP front runner. If anybody else got to say something different about that, then come see me. I'm right here in B-More outside the bank. If you got an issue with that, come see me. I'm about that. Big trust. Woo woo.
There's something about these people that they're nuts. They're the closest thing to me that I've ever seen. So we have that in common.